Hi everyone. This week, Josh and I are going to be discussing our five favorite TV shows. We're just going to sort of have a general discussion about them. I think we'll share at least one of them. And yeah, next week we're going to do our top five favorite movies, and Dexter will be back. Josh, say hi.
Right.
And yeah, okay, just start us off with one of your top five, Josh, in no particular order.
So I'm going to mention something which I know is going to be on your top five as well, which is Game of Thrones.
Yeah, yes.
Yep. Uh, I mean, obviously it will be on a lot of people's top five favorite TV shows. I think it's just incredibly well done, great characterization, storytelling, um, tension, drama, everything you want from a TV show of that sort. Do you agree?
I do. I think there's a reason it's become a worldwide phenomenon. Um, it has sort of built a world that I can't imagine will be surpassed in TV for a very
Hmm.
long time. It has such fantastic characters. The acting is good and has improved over the
Hmm.
course of the show. Um, and the plot is infamous for all of its twists and turns and you know twists and shock endings and surprise deaths and um,
Hmm.
it keeps you on your toes. I think I can't. I always recommend it to people if they haven't seen it. Um, the one thing that is different about it in its more recent seasons, of course, we'll be discussing the eighth season as it comes out.
Hmm.
But um, it's this sort of accelerated storytelling. It's turning a bit more from a drama show. It used to be a drama show. It was a drama show set in a fantasy world, but now it's turning into a bit more of a fantasy show. Um,
I agree. I feel like season seven felt quite a lot less like the other seasons, and it was still great, but it wasn't quite the same.
it wasn't the same. It was.
And I'm not sure if that was down to the fact that it had a shorter runtime.
I think it was a couple of reasons. I think that's one of them. They tried to cram everything in. There was that
Hmm.
ridiculous episode where they flew up north of the wall, um,
Hmm.
and the logic which had underpinned the show, the sort of realism and the actions have consequences, ideas, basically went out the window in that episode. Um,
Hmm.
but I also think it's just because it's their penultimate season. They can't,
Yeah.
kill off a lot of characters. They're saving them for the end or whatever. But I think it totally deserves its worldwide
Hmm.
recognition and international fan base.
Yeah. And actually, having said that, I think the finale of season seven really got back to what Game of Thrones has been.
Yes, it
It really
was.
felt like a Thrones episode, and it was up there
It,
in my favorites.
yeah, I agree. It was very slow paced, which was completely
Hmm.
different from the rest of the season, and there was a lot of dialogue. Um,
Lots exactly.
I mean, the early seasons, I guess the first three seasons of Game of Thrones are notable for not having any huge battle set pieces. There's the Battle of Blackwater in season two, but if you actually look at it, a lot of it is dialogue set through the battle.
Hmm.
And there's only a few minutes, possibly 10 minutes of the 50-minute long episode is actually a big battle, and it's all at dark, so they didn't have that much money to shoot it. So they set it at night so that they wouldn't have to have such an expansive horizon of soldiers and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, they don't really have a humongous battle until the fourth season, which is surprising for a big fantasy show. But
Hmm.
yes, I agree. It's very much a drama and a.
Yeah.
It starts off quite slowly, but I think that's a lot of it is world building.
I like that though. I like the slow pace. I think
Yeah,
it does it well, and I like the sort of, as you say, the drama and the dialogue base of the show rather than just constant action.
yeah. There's a lot of intrigue, there's a lot of
Hmm.
political machinations and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Do you want to mention another?
Yeah, sure. So I'd say that another one of my favorite shows is Sherlock,
Okay.
and I don't know if you put that down too, Josh. I know you enjoy it.
I actually haven't put that down.
Um,
Um,
it's excellent. It's really a whole bunch of movies.
mhm,
Well, they're all feature length, put it that way. It is a TV
yeah.
show, and they're all self-contained mysteries. But the way they translate the Arthur Conan Doyle stories into the present is very well done throughout all four of its seasons. Now, the common complaint about Sherlock is that seasons one and two, and to a lesser extent three, are much better than its final season, which
I
is
would agree with that.
I agree. Season two is excellent.
Yes, I'd say there's quite a bit of inconsistency in the quality of the episodes. They're all good, but some of them are much better than others.
Yeah, I would agree
Um,
completely.
I mean, like the season 2, episode 3 is one of my favorite television episodes of all time.
It's very
It's
well
just
put
so well
together.
done.
Yeah,
hmm
I actually like the
And yeah,
first episode of that season a bit more with Irene Adler. I like that
hmm
because the solution to the mystery is so obvious, um,
hmm
but it's so clever. It's just so incredibly obvious that you kick yourself. I think that's so clever.
hmm and I agree with you. I like the way they translate the stories into a modern day setting.
They did a sort of strange episode where they went back into the previous, the normal Victorian Sherlock.
I haven't actually
Um,
seen that yet.
I know, so I'm not going
Still.
to spoil it, but it's quite odd, but it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
None of it
hmm
is bad. They're all good episodes, but I agree that you have such high expectations when you watch it because some of the episodes are so fantastic.
hmm
Especially the finale was quite unsatisfying.
Yeah. And I mean, even episodes like the Hound of the Baskervilles
Yeah,
episode, season 2, episode 2, I thought it wasn't that good. It definitely, it didn't reach the quality of the rest of seasons 1 and 2 for me.
I would. I agree. It's not as good as the rest. I don't
hmm
think it's that bad. I actually quite enjoyed season three
It's
too.
still good,
The one that really
really.
disappointed me was season four. Um,
Yeah,
but the
definitely.
show is so good. The characters are so excellent, and Benedict Cumberbatch plays Sherlock so well, and Martin Freeman plays whatever Watson. That's his name. So well, and they
hmm
get in Mary and Mrs. Hudson, and it's just a great
hmm
cast and
I
a
think
great
it is.
story.
It's very well cast.
Yeah.
Um, no, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is good casting, and it's sort of similar character to Doctor Strange
Yeah, it was
in
his
a way.
first big breakout role,
Um,
I think.
and I think he suits that sort of character.
Yeah. Okay, so you have another show you would like to mention?
So I'm gonna go for a bit of a change of genre.
Hmm.
Um, Friends.
Okay. Why?
Have you seen it at all?
No, I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen episodes of it
hmm
enough to so that you know what it is.
hmm I think sort of it's certainly not going to be. It's not like in terms of quality or production value. It's not near the top of TV shows as TV shows go. But I think in terms of sitcoms, it changed what a sitcom is, and I think so many sitcoms since Friends has ended have tried. They're all sort of trying to be Friends, and none of them have quite reached that level.
It's very
Um,
much a cultural thing. Um,
exactly.
you see people freak out when it gets added to Netflix and stuff like that, which is sort of
hmm
representative of its enduring appeal.
I just think it's very well done, and also very consistent. A lot of sitcoms sort of, especially towards the end, kind
Yeah,
of lose steam. I don't think Friends did. I think another problem that sitcoms have is trying to find a good ending, and Friends managed to do that. I haven't seen many other sitcoms do that. I would say like Scrubs if you count season 8 as the end, managed to do a very satisfying ending. But other than that,
Yeah, but then
I
they
can't think of any others.
they made that horrific
And then they did season 9,
Yeah.
and it was awful.
Um.
Yeah.
Okay, so another one
Mhm.
of my favorites is the BBC comedy The Thick of It.
Okay.
It is a British politics satire, and it's wonderfully biting, and it's not particularly shy about making fun of the government. From it's set sort of between 2005 and 2000 and maybe 12, and the show sort of loosely parallels the um, political developments going on in Britain at the time, but it's very
Mhm.
much it's extremely like profane and explicit, but in a almost in a light-hearted way, but
Mhm.
only in a British sense. It's very clever. Well, they have such
Yeah.
great characters, and
Mhm.
it's so it makes fun of office environments and it makes fun of
Mhm.
work so well.
Mhm. I haven't seen all of it. I've seen, I think, the first couple of seasons. But it is very, very well done.
I particularly like the person who plays the conservative minister who's trying to get to grips with technology. It's so accurate. Um, they all sit round and come up with ideas on how to improve policy positions, and they sit around in a circle, cross-legged, and those typical work activities that are totally pointless. And then he just gets up and throws a football at the other guy. It's rather amusing. Um, so yeah, it's very funny. It's quite hard to describe. You just sort of have to watch it. But I very much recommend it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Uh, what should I say next? I'm going to say Daredevil on Netflix. Um, so I mean, Daredevil for me, season 1, stellar. You've got, I think, a big part of what made season 1 so great was the villain.
Okay.
Wilson D'Onofrio as, Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. Um, just very well cast, very well done. Season 2 for me was less good. Quite overstuffed, not bad as such, just there was a lot going on and it got a bit confusing. But Daredevil season 3 is my favorite season of television of all time.
Wow.
Um, and I think a lot of the Marvel Netflix shows have suffered sort of because the length is 13 episodes and they can't really keep up a sort of a gripping storyline for that length. And so Iron Fist last year for their second season actually reduced it to 10 episodes, and I thought that worked quite well. But Daredevil season 3, completely different, managed to, from the start to finish, keep you hooked. Just a very, very intense fight scenes, things like that. Lots going on, but not in a bad way like with season 2. And I just thought it was a very good storyline, very good themes running through.
Okay.
Have you seen any of it
No, I have not, but
at all? No.
it's been recommended to me by multiple people.
Hmm.
So the next show I'm going to discuss has actually got cancelled after 2 seasons, which is a bit like Daredevil. It was strong and then it got cancelled. However,
Hmm.
it was not on many people's radar. It was a sci-fi comedy called People of Earth, and it was centered around a group of alien abductees. Um, and they developed these characters so thoroughly in such a short span of time. It only ran for 20 episodes of 20 minutes each. Um, and what's so funny about it is that, so of course, alien abductees, they're seen as a bit sort of out there and strange, And the show doesn't try to hide that, but it also makes the aliens themselves characters and reveals that they're just as human and they have a new boss and they don't like the new boss. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
aliens is in like a love triangle with the other alien that gets hit by a car because he doesn't know how traffic rules are on Earth. So it sort of subverts the sort of Independence Day alien into a sort of office boardroom alien who's just completing his
Mm-hmm.
job of trying to abduct people. It was so sort of witty and gentle and just sort of sweet. And they
Mm-hmm.
cancelled it after 2 seasons, but the third had already been written, and it's just been picked up by Fox for UK distributing rights. So hopefully they will create a
Okay.
third season. But I don't expect them to do that. But I really
Mm-hmm.
recommend it if you're just after a sort of amusing TV show that the characters
Mm-hmm.
I just find are so uh, kind, and it's it's so absurd. The fact that the aliens are always infighting and they just act like normal people. It was such a surprising premise, and it worked so well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, Josh, have you got one more then, or two more?
I think I've got two
Two
more.
more.
Yeah.
Okay, you go.
So I'm going to say Westworld.
Okay. Yeah,
Is Westworld on yours?
Westworld is not on
Yeah.
mine.
Is it not?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, I've seen it. I say why you like it so much.
Again, I mean, it's sort of it was the gap filler for Game of Thrones, I guess, between season 6 and 7, and then now between season 7 and 8. And I think it's sort of similar in a few ways in terms of the level of storytelling. I just think it's very clever,
Yes,
um,
I agree.
and sort of season 1, especially when everything sort of came together.
Yeah,
And I will spoil it here. The fact that I don't know, a third of the scenes we've been seeing during the whole season, it turns out they were actually set in a different time to the rest of the season.
yeah. It's
Just sort of
incredibly
and sort of the subtle references, you could have picked up on that
the
from the start.
logo,
I just thought it's
the Westworld
hmm
logo
and
changing
Dolores's different
clothes.
outfits.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm
It's the first season
It's
is remarkably complicated, and
hmm
they bring it together so completely and convincingly. I think it's the best season of TV that I've ever seen. Um,
hmm
I was very disappointed, although I still thought it was good. I mean, I was disappointed because it couldn't live up to such a high
hmm
standards of season one. Season two, I thought, was trying to replicate that mystery without any point. There was a twist at the end of season two that served no real purpose other than for there to be a twist.
hmm
Season one is deliberately structured to sort of reveal the world reveal the world the way that the show works to you through this sort of multiple timeline thing where you're not quite understanding what's going on and you're almost
hmm
replicating the journey of the characters. Season two they just do this twist again, but seemingly just for the sake of having it. Plus, I
hmm
thought the plot was a little sillier. Um, it didn't. It wasn't quite as sort of well rounded as it was in season one. But I
hmm
agree, it's such a clever show. I recommend watching it. Season one, and who knows, season
hmm
three they left it in a good place. It could be just as good as
Yeah.
season one.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think season 1 was much better than season 2. I still enjoyed season 2, but I think the where they sort of left off on season 1 meant that they could never make something quite as good.
Well, certainly Game of Thrones had the same issue. Season one was excellent. Season two was not quite as good.
Hmm
It wasn't such a big change, but I have hope that they will, once now they've sort of in their stride. Hopefully, they sort of know
hmm
how the
Exactly.
characters
I
fit
suppose
together.
that's sort of a problem with season 2 of shows like this, where kind of you get used to all the characters from season 1, and then they inevitably bring more in, and you're kind of, oh, I just wish it would go back to the way it was.
Yeah,
and then once it, as you say, once it gets into I remember watching Game of Thrones season 2 for the first time, and there was all this, Stannis Baratheon, Renly Baratheon stuff going on. I had no idea who anyone was, and was
they have to
just
switch.
sort of, oh, I wish it could be season 1.
They have to switch from a sort of smaller plot line into a more expansive plot line.
Exactly.
And a lot of it just sort of felt gimmicky and pointless in Westworld season 2. Like, why on earth did they go to the Asian world or whatever, Shogun world? That's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt unnecessary. But I imagine it will serve a larger function in its upcoming season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got one more, and I've got one more. So go ahead.
I know you're not a fan of this. My last is Family Guy.
Oh. Okay.
I just think, it's been running for I think it's on its 17th series now. It's not quite as good as it has been, but it still inevitably makes me laugh. I think they just sort of make fun of everything, everyone, in clever ways, and just kind of, I'm a fan of that kind of humor. It's just sort of stupid humor.
Yeah, no, it is.
But it's fun,
fine.
and
so
that's the thing. It makes me laugh, and I think it can be clever.
I think comedy is a lot more about personal taste than drama is. I think that South Park is more my sort of.
I was going to say you're a bigger fan of.
I don't watch.
I like South Park,
but yeah, no, I appreciate Family Guy as a classic and has sort of wide appeal. And it has some amusing characters. Not that I could name any of them, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So what's your last one?
So I would pick Fargo.
Okay.
I am a huge fan of the film, and while I think that TV show is not quite as good as the film, it's still great. It's a bit different. Fargo, the film, it's quite tight. It wraps itself up quite nicely, and it's funny. It's a dark. It's a very black comedy, and it's also a crime. You've seen it, right, Josh?
The film or the TV?
The film.
The film, yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Quite a while ago.
The TV show is tonally similar, and season 1 almost. I mean, they even sort of joke around with the name. So in the film, there's Jerry Lundegaard, and then in the TV show you have Lester Nygaard, and it is similar. It's a little more extended. Obviously, it's 10 episodes. But it's clearly so well inspired by it. It doesn't try very hard to be very different, and that's good. It feels very similar to the film, but that's okay. Now, it's interesting because each season it's an anthology show. Each season is only distantly related to the other seasons, and they have begun to experiment a little more. Season 3 wasn't quite as good as 1 and 2, but it was still great, and they still all had this sort of Minnesota Nice crime thriller plot line, and they're creating a 4th season, which I'm very much looking forward to. I would say that after Game of Thrones, it's probably my second favorite show. I really like it. Yeah, it's very, and you can start with whichever season you want. I mean, I'd start with season 1, but yeah, I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Any honorable mentions, Josh?
Honorable mentions. In-Betweeners, I think, is fantastic, sort of very kind of relatable British comedy. I'm a big fan of it. Anything from you?
Yeah, I'd probably say The Good Place.
Okay.
I just finished its third season, where it just came out. It's not as good as it once was, but it's very clever and is slightly more deep and profound than it seems to be at first, and it's also slightly more complicated. They actually have a remarkably deep plot in a way that you wouldn't expect from the first episode. Okay, so I guess that's it for this week, guys. We'll hopefully tune in.
We'll do our movies next week.
Yeah, do our 5 favorite
films. We may also,
and Dexter will be back.
If at some point in the, well, I suppose for me, the early hours of tomorrow morning, they release some more Endgame footage at the Super Bowl,
or Captain Marvel footage, or any Marvel,
or indeed Captain Marvel footage,
or anything that's worth talking about, pretty much.
We may add that on.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely will. Okay.